Hey, thanks for joining me. I'm Samantha, and I'm going to talk to you today about how you can train without a gym or loads of time. And the reason this topic is so important is because after 18 years of personal training and working in the fitness industry, developing personal trainers both professionally and personally for the last 7 years, and consulting, the thing that I really discovered is that to have the most radical transformation that lasts, we have to go deeper than just surface level. So I want to share some tips with you today that hopefully will set you up to succeed and give you a little insight on how to approach training the physical body to get the results that you want finally. So this webinar today, I'm going to teach you the difference between training and working out. You'll get an effective plan that you can do in under 10 minutes every day. That will help you to increase your flexibility, your mobility, and core strength in the areas that the average person needs. And I'm going to teach you how you can actually create time within your day to fit training in. Okay? And lastly, I'm going to share with you the secret to getting and staying motivated forever. Because for many of you who are joining, that's the reason you're here. So let's get started. First, the difference between working out and training. Okay, you're obviously here because you believe in the importance of exercising and you want to care for your body and all of that good stuff. But the distinction between the two is really important so that you can be empowered to choose what you want to do and how you'll approach it. And we'll talk about choice in another minute. If you're watching this, chances are that you have been on different waves of varying activity level. So some of you are maybe in a new season where something just needs to shift and you need to tweak things or do something different. I get that. That's how I actually got to doing in-home workouts myself. And I'd wager that some of you are actually in or have been victims of your own all or none behavior traps. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. For a lot of people, the waves of fitness tend to be more like events, okay? So rather than a lifestyle, a way of being, exercising and working out and training and all of that stuff tends to be more of like an event, a thing that you do until, okay? So I like to frame this in two different categories, okay? One of them being the type of people who are on point until they fall off. And then the other type being the sporadics, okay? Now, neither are bad, but I'm going to educate you a little bit on why they don't set you up to succeed. All right, so first, let's talk about those that are on point and then fall off, all right? You might be in a cycle of up and down. You may be repeatedly trying something new because the last thing didn't work. These types of patterns tend to lead you into the burnout, the fizz out, or the dip out, okay? And that's actually those three like branches, those three categories are how I typically refer to personal trainers who aren't in the industry long or are with an organization and then leave. They either burn out, fizz out, or dip out, okay? It's the same thing for the average person when they're working out if it's not something that's part of who they are, that's actually embedded into their lifestyle, all right? So burnout. See if any of these resonate with you. See if you can say, that's me, okay? It's important because that awareness will help you as you go and as you make the changes for yourself. So the burnout, you go hard until you break down, okay? You go so hard that you start to get diminishing returns. You're doing a lot, but what you're getting out of it doesn't equate to what you're putting into it, okay? This leads to frustration. For those of you that fizz out, you try your best, but your low commitment or low adherence leads to a lack of rhythm and results. So you just slowly kind of make your exit. And then those that just dip out, all right? These are the types that maybe you don't fully understand or respect the process that the body or any change really requires. You set unrealistic expectations and you end up like quitting, right? All of these will lead you into a kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like you do it and you until you're aware of why it's not working, you keep doing the same thing, or you just try a different thing that it doesn't work as well, but oftentimes it's usually the same thing that holds you back. So let's go into the second category, if you would, of those ways. It's the sporadic. This is where, your efforts aren't adding up, okay? Maybe you're not doing the right things, or you're not doing them consistently enough, or a combination of the two, and you just can't really get legs underneath you. So think of it this way. You can't build a solid foundation on scrap material. All right? So the difference between working out and training. Working out is the act of exercising, okay? Sweating, moving, soreness, things like this. This is what we think about when we think working out. But sweating and soreness are not indicative of what is happening inside that will elicit an adaptation. Okay, the adaptations we're looking for over the course of time are strength, a higher metabolism, all of these good things, but they take time. So I use a little hand model, okay? It takes a little bit at a time, and it's those compounding results that equal the big old result that we're looking for. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Training is a process. It's a process of developing skills and abilities through regular practice or repetition. Okay? Training is intentional. Now, the terms are often conflated, but they're not the same. You can refer to a training session as a workout, but you cannot assume that every workout is training. Again, we're making the distinction here so that as you are aware that there is a difference, you can approach it differently. So why does this matter? Because what you do and the manner in which you do it will dictate the results that you get. I can give you a workout without you even getting out of a chair that will make you sweat and will make you sore. But what else will it do? That depends on what it's designed to do and the plan for how it will be done. So training is the process of cause and effect, okay? Causes or efforts or work done over time compounds and equals an outcome. And the more intentional you are with the effort that you're putting in, the causes, if you would, the more predictable your outcome. So here's a hard truth. We are what we consistently do. Now, I mean, we are like the results we get, the state that we're in is a result of what we consistently do. So if we are carrying excess weight, okay, it's because of what we've done consistently over time. Now, I know that's not always comfortable to hear, okay? But it's so important that we acknowledge that truth and be empowered to do something differently, okay? So anytime you go into work out, consider, are you moving your body to just sweat and move, which isn't bad, it's not bad, but what are we expecting to get out of that? So the next time you go into moving your body, working out, consider, do I have a plan in place with an intention behind it? Okay? So you're gonna get a plan, an actual exercise plan that has a list of exercises that are simple and basic to help you improve your mobility and flexibility and core strength as the average individual needs it, but it won't work unless you do it, okay? So it's the consistency of doing it properly over time. So before we get to that, a few basic things here, okay? Consider and remember, a plan needs to have some level of structure. The what will you do, the how will you do it, when will you do it, all of that good stuff. Adaptation cannot occur unless there is a stressor to elicit that adaptation. i.e., If it doesn't challenge you, it cannot change you. Okay, so you have to expect some level of challenge. Now, that has to be governed, meaning if it's too much and the body views it as too much, too quick, then it almost thinks it's like chaotic, okay? So it's a calculated amount. It's the right amount to cause an adaptation or to elicit a response. And it's those steady responses over time that equal the result. Okay? I like to use a scale of 1 to 10, and knowing where you should fall on that 1, meaning not much, not a lot, not hard, to 10 being like, this is outrageous, this is my max amount. That would be like your high intensity interval training and things like that. Knowing where you should be is part of that structure. And then lastly, it's a process of progress, not perfection. Part of the structure as well is that we're setting it up so that we have a directional guideline of where we know we want to go, but that permits the space for us to be nimble, to change and pivot as necessary. That's what helps you stay on track too. If it's too structured and there's no room, wiggle room, no flexibility, okay, then it's very easy for it to become a frustration piece, a deterrent, the all or none. It perpetuates that all or noneness, okay? But it's progress and it's a process, and there is no such thing as perfection, okay? So little by little, and the greater challenges can only have a positive return if you have a solid foundation. And eventually, as you get better and stronger and more consistent, you will need a little bit more or a little bit differently. So here's where I like to say, more is not always better. Better is better. So this isn't about adding more weight all the time or adding more time all the time. There are so many variables that come into how to train the body, but it all comes back to that first key important piece. What are we seeking to get out of it? Is it designed to get a result, and will we be consistent with it? Okay? So let's talk about the high level overview of the plan here for you. I thought I had a little towel to wipe off my whiteboard, so I don't. So I'm gonna use my sleeve like a toddler, and I'm okay with it. So let's talk about first the high level plan that you're going to get. Now this is going to be sent to you or to be included in the links. You'll know where to retrieve it. But you'll see the first exercise on the plan is diaphragm breathing. All of the exercises have links to videos that you can follow along, and none of this is tailored to you specifically, okay? So you just have to keep in mind that this is built for the general and not for the specific, okay? But generally speaking, these are the kinds of exercises that the average individual could benefit from. As you do them over time, and you do it consistently, meaning repetitively each week, track your improvements. Not just how you feel, but track it. Do you notice that you can move in a greater position on certain exercises? Do you find it that they get easier over time? All of these good things. But you'll notice that we start with diaphragm breathing. That'll be the first one on the list. The reason why is because as you breathe and as you learn how to really use the full lung capacity, and as you have an exhale that is slightly longer than your inhale, you're actually going to signal to the body that it can relax. Okay, so even if you try it right now, if you take a deep breath in, and as you exhale slowly and longer than your inhale, you'll probably feel an immediate sense of relaxation. Okay, so the first one we're doing is breath. The second exercise that you'll see, and those throughout, you'll see a cue to move with breath. So for example, you'll do an ankle stretch to mobilize your ankle joint. And how many you'll do, it says 5 breaths. That means that you'll move in and out of the exercise with your breath. And as you exhale, signaling to the body it can relax, you can sink deeper into certain positions and postures to mobilize the joint and stretch the musculature around. So you're going to see an ankle mobility exercise. The next one you're going to see is called a half kneeling rock back. We're going to target the hips with that. You're going to feel a nice big stretch down the inner thigh. We're opening up those hips. You're going to see a dynamic chest stretch where we're opening up the chest. You're going to feel that in the shoulder joint. Okay? Now, you're going to get into some other movements that are going to be targeting on activating, firing up, engaging the muscles that the average person either is weakened or underused, like your back and your glutes and things like that. Now, when you do those exercises, like your floor W's, I want you to not just do the exercise and think of squeezing the muscles, but I actually want you to picture the muscles, okay? So as you hear my cue on the exercise videos, I want you to actually visualize that area of your body lighting up, okay? It's gonna help to develop that neuromuscular connection, that mind-body connection. It's real, it's really real. So you'll do the same when we get to your glutes. And then lastly, you're gonna do a full body core plank. So I wrote these terms out, even though they're not the exact exercise titles, just to show you that we're working the entire body on certain movements. Now that plays into how we train, okay? It is not healthy to only work some areas and not the others, okay? Full body. Now, if there are certain trouble areas that you have or certain specific goals that you have and you're training with an emphasis on those areas, that's great and that's fine. But I highly encourage you to make sure that you're not neglecting any particular areas. That's what you can expect when you click open that 4-week workout plan. Now, why do I have it as 4 weeks? If you're doing it consistently, and you're actually working to where you're feeling challenged a little bit, you should see results. And as you see results, you should need something or be ready for something a little different. It could be more, it could just be different, okay? But the key here is you're moving and you're working with intentionality. Now, whenever I design training programs for folks, you can bet the goal is always injury prevention, number one. We want to make sure that the body is able to move freely and fluidly and without restrictions before we even load it, okay? So before I put a bunch of weight on somebody's back, I'm gonna make sure they can move well first. This is foundational, okay? So for the folks that I'm working with who are actually doing training, foundations never go away. They're always there, even when we build on top of it. Now, I promised you that we were going to talk about how we can fit training into the everyday. So you'll see, along with your 4-week training plan, you'll see that there are little tips and tricks of how you can fit it in. And why is this important? Training in any amount of time that you have is possible. You don't need 2 hours worth to train unless what you're training for requires that we have an extended time period allotted, because there are plenty of things that go into it. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how you can train, meaning work with intentionality, with an outcome in mind, designed for the outcome, requiring consistency. So if you do this training plan 2 to 3 times a week, it shouldn't take you any more than 10 minutes. But let's say you're struggling to even find 10 minutes. I want to prove to you that you can do things with whatever you currently have. Let's look at what you currently have and work with that, okay? Now, at the end of the day, it will require, getting anywhere worthwhile requires some investment, right? But that's the difference. We can't look at it as sacrifice necessarily, because that has that negative spin on it. Is it sacrifice? Sure. Do you need to sometimes sacrifice time to exercise and train rather than to sit on the couch and watch TV? Sure. But the difference is when you value yourself and your health, you view it as an investment. Okay? So you are sacrificing one thing for something else, but you're sacrificing watching that TV so that you can invest in your health. Okay? I just want to plant that seed for you. But let's say you're struggling to even find 10 minutes. Okay, we get creative here. Think of things that you do almost every day that maybe you don't even think about, but you have to, right, think about it for this exercise. How can you fit some of these training drills into that? Okay, so it could be doing your leaning ankle stretches while you are watching your kids play soccer against your partner. It could be dropping to the floor to do planks before dinner, maybe with the whole family. It could be doing your half kneeling rock backs while you're saying your prayers. So the point here is that if you truly desire to do it, you can. You can. It's very easy to say we don't have the time. And I'm not here to berate anybody to say that's an excuse. Because in reality, it feels like we don't have the time. But when we can slowly, little by little, find ways that we can do something rather than focus on the ways that why we can't, all that does is gives us more ammunition, more equipment, more power, more confidence to actually do the thing. So maybe you'll glute bridge while the kids are doing homework. Leading into the next thing here, okay? Now, I promised that I would give you 5 Ds that you need to be successful. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and really when it comes to doing anything fitness related, right? You're training. Like God's the original personal trainer, right? He trains us if we allow him, okay, if we receive it. But it comes down to 5 Ds, because D is easy to remember, and I love a good alliteration, but think of it this way. If you have all of these things and you're able to bring them, the how will become more clear. The how will show up, okay? So with that, I mean that before you go and join another gym or buy a whole bunch of equipment or even hire me, right? We have to make sure we have these things in place, or that we're at least willing to. Okay? At least willing to. You don't have to have it all figured out. That's what I'm here for. Any coach is here for, but there has to be a willingness. So, number 1, desire. I promise I would wipe this off. Desire. Now, desire is different than want. You can say, I want to get stronger. I want to. But when you say, I want to get stronger so bad it feels like I need to. It feels like I have to do this now. There's a difference, okay? There's an energy difference behind it. Think of it like, sure, it'd be nice versus, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out. Okay? Somewhere in that spectrum, you can work with it. If you're lukewarm on it, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to, yeah, it'd be great. Oh, I'd have to do some work. Oh, then you don't really want it. It'd just be nice to have. Okay? So desire it. You have to desire it. Desiring it sounds often to me, when I talk to people who really have the most radical transformations, it sounds like, I'm sick of it being this way. It sounds like, I've got to do something different. And I know for me personally, the biggest changes in my life came with that energy behind it. Number 2, decision. Decision, okay? You have to have a decision. Decision is different than choice. To choose something would be to select out of options. You could choose to work out today or not. But if you say, work out as in train. But if you say, I'm deciding that I'm going to train my body or get a promotion or start my own business, what that means is something different, because decide comes from a root, a Latin, I believe, word that means cut off, which means cutting off the other options. But it's not always that easy to just say I'm deciding and be done, right? Because our subconscious mind is literally conditioned to try to keep you where you are because it thinks it's keeping you safe. It doesn't want you to go do anything different, even if it's going to be better for you in the long run, okay? It's trying. I name my subconscious, okay? I call her little Sally. Sally's trying, right? Thank you. I know you're trying to help me, but that's what it's there to do. So expect that. Anything worth doing is going to have opposition, okay? So we have to expect that. That's why we have the third D, which is designed strategy. Designed, meaning it is curated for you, okay? Strategy, structure. There has to be the guide rails of where we're going directionally, okay? And I say where we're going directionally because things will happen, or we may find a better way, right? And then, we'll have to deviate, but we always stay on the path. So design strategy, because when you don't feel like doing it, your design strategy and the next D will be your override system, okay? It'll be the, oh, I knew this would happen. I knew I wouldn't feel like doing it even after I decided to do it. So I already built that into the system. I baked that into the cake. And those are your determined actions. Determined, meaning they are carefully selected, they are carefully chosen, they are carefully identified based off of your current strategy, your desire, right? And your current situation, right? What is going to be the daily, weekly, monthly things that you do along the journey? These are both physical and non-physical, okay? This isn't just, I'm gonna do my floor W's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This is I need to hang out with this person less because they always want me to go to happy hour. Or I need to stop buying the junk food. Or I need to start praying more every morning. Okay? So they're physical and non-physical. The last D. Oh, the last D. Devotion. Devotion. You must see yourself as being worthy of being well cared for and deserving of what you desire. If you don't quite believe that yet, that's okay. It took me a really long time to get there too, but devotion, at least having the willingness to believe that you are, and you can cultivate that devotion, that loving loyalty and enthusiasm for yourself and for what you're doing. Devotion. So, I told you that I would give you the secret to solving the motivation problem that you have. The motivation problem of, I can't get motivated, or I get motivated and then I lose motivation. The problem isn't that you're not motivated. The problem is you're motivated by the wrong thing. That's the problem. That's the real problem that we're going to address. So you won't any longer need to go look on social media to be motivated to work out, which, by the way, influencers rely on you relying on them. Okay? Three questions that you need to ask and answer yourself. 1, what do you really want? What do you really desire? And I say this because just asking what do you really want, what do you really desire, that's the surface level, okay? Saying I want to lose weight, I use that as an example because that's the biggest goal set that the average woman has ever come to me for, in terms of fitness training, and why I'm in wellness coaching to begin with, because it's not just about the surface, right? Knowing that there is that 95% of our subconscious that's trying to keep us held back. Okay? It's not our fault that we don't always know what we want. Sometimes we're not asked, and it's not our fault that what we say we want, we don't always behave in the way that indicates that's what we want, right? So if we say we want to be healthy and strong, but we're drinking wine every night and things like that, are we? That also causes a big old, disconnect internally. Like, I thought I wanted this, but what's going on? Right? What do we really want? Second, do you believe you deserve it? These are deep questions. Do you believe you deserve it? If you answer no, that's okay. But if you're willing to believe it, you can make something big happen with that. Third, why? Why? Not just why do you want it, why do you believe you deserve to have it. It's that why. It's the thing under 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 the thing. Right? So it's not just because I want to look good. Why do you want to look good? Because I don't know what it's like to feel comfortable in my own body. Why do you want to feel comfortable in your own body? Because I live here. Right? So it's always the thing under the thing. And if you come from a place of love, you can have all the transformation you want and keep it. But if you come from a place of being wrong, not feeling good enough, shame, and you're not willing to break that off and learn how to truly love yourself, then it's hard to get really well. That was way deeper than I planned to go in this video, because there's another video that I'll link to this, but those are the three. They're short, and they're short questions, but the depth that you can go to, and you only go as deep as you're ready for and as deep as you need. But when you go there, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. That's where you train, because you're taking care of yourself like somebody that you respect, love, and are responsible for. I hope this helped. Please check out the 4-week training plan that I sent, ways that you can fit it into your everyday, the video that gives you a little bit more deep dive on those 3 ways to get and stay motivated forever. And if you're curious if I can help you schedule a discovery call. Let's chat about it. We'll see where the biggest opportunities for growth are. But the whole point of what I do is to help you solve the motivation problem for Met Forever, because what you're doing with and for yourself comes from a place of deep love. So I love you guys. Take care.